Our oral history microphone is visiting again. This is Ray Mofield, and today we're at Walnut Court, and we have the pleasure of being in the home of Reba, Love, Hiett, Darnall.
That's it.
And I thank you so much, Miss
Yeah.
Darnall, for letting us come over.
Well, I'm just glad to have you.
It's such a beautiful day, and I even brought my bride along.
Proud to have her too.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your birthplace. Were you?
Well, I was born in Dogtown, down close to Hiett Cemetery.
I know exactly where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're throwing that word Hiett around. You might be
Yeah.
kin to my mother-in-law.
Well, I am. I'm kin to her.
Mm-hmm.
Her daddy and my daddy is first cousins. My daddy was Bowles Hiett.
Uh-huh. And you mind telling us how long ago that was when you were born?
1903, February the 6th.
Almost identical to my mother's age. She was born that same year, April 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So you were born in a great part of the county. It was in the direction of Hardin.
Yes. Called Dogtown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we lived...
That's a wide place in the road.
We lived about 10 years here on Dogtown Road
Yeah.
in Benton.
Well.
So I'm very familiar with Dogtown.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful spot. And
Yeah.
tell us who your dad was.
Bowles Hiett.
And your mother?
Ella Bird Hiett.
We had the word bird in there.
Mhm.
Is that B-I-R-D?
B-U-R-D.
B-U-R-D.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are three ways to spell bird that I've seen.
Yeah, well, that's the way they spell that.
And I remember going to school at Hardin with a boy named Louis Bird, and his sister. What was her name?
Well, I think they're related to us, too. Eva. Was Eva's son? Louis Bird, I think so.
I think so, yes.
Well, Eva's daddy was cousin to my mother, Guy Bird.
Well, do you know very much about your genealogy? Could you take us back a ways? Did you know your grandmother, grandfather?
Oh, yes. I didn't ever see my grandfathers, either one of them.
Uh-huh.
But I saw my grandmother Hiett and my grandmother Bird. And I remember visiting with my grandmother Hiett. We moved on Oak Level Road and remember staying all night with her. And I remember before I was 4-year-old going with Grandma Bird. She lived close to Dogtown there. And I got homesick when it began to get late.
Mm-hmm.
And Nana Jeter came by, and I heard her holler and say, "Nana, will you take Reba back to home? Say she's homesick." So I remember her taking me. We got to the house before it got dark.
Oh, why did children like to go to their grandmothers?
I don't know, but of course I didn't keep my grandmothers long enough to enjoy having them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was small.
Somebody once said to me that they thought it was because they usually let you do more than your
Well,
mother
they
would.
do. I let my grandkids do more than they did my kids, guess.
You mellow with
Yeah.
age and
Yeah,
become more tolerant.
Yeah,
of
let them do things I wouldn't let mine do.
Yeah. And I guess that's the reason it's been said that grandparents spoil the children.
I guess it is.
Yeah. All right, you were born in Dogtown. Now, what was the nearest school that where did you go?
Well, you see, I was born there, but I moved away. We moved out on Oak Level Road when I was 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember moving, if I was just 4-year-old. And we lived on the Oak Level Road at the Roger Jones place. My daddy built a home there, and we moved out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I stayed down there. We stayed down there long enough that I went my first 3 schools at Pleasant Valley School. And then, you want me to go ahead and tell who was teachers then?
Yeah, if you'd like. I wish you would.
Well, my first teacher, I think, was Eula Sled. And the next one was Alva Wood, and she married Claude Shamwell later.
Mm-hmm.
She might have married during the school year. I'm not just sure. I was small.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ella Starks. Well, we moved back to Dogtown then, after I went down there 3 years. And then I went to Walnut Grove School. That's where I went then the rest of my time. And
I remember Walnut Grove real well. I don't remember
well,
Pleasant Valley.
we lived right down the hill there, right by the schoolhouse for several years, and then we sold out there and moved up there where the church house is now. That was on my daddy's land. He donated Walnut Grove Church. He donated the land for that church, and so there I lived till I married.
Now that I remember when I was working on a history of the Churches of Christ in the county that they originally called that congregation Glade. I
Well,
believe.
the church house used to be at Glade,
Mhm.
and they tore it down and moved, and built one up there, and said be near for people all around to come to church. See, way Uncle Tom Brown, all the way over there had to go to Glade. That's a long ways, and that's kind of in the center.
And your father gave the land.
Yeah, he gave the land.
Well, very
And I
good.
suckered tobacco to help pay for that land. Me and my mother.
You know, that's a hard way to earn money.
But we did.
I can well remember doing it myself, and I suppose just about everyone that grew up in my generation and yours
Yes.
in this county, all the farmers had a tobacco crop.
Yes. Yeah, we always grow tobacco. And after I married, did too.
My dad always liked tobacco more than he did cotton. Now, I remember we had one cotton crop. For some reason, he didn't like cotton.
Well, I
But-
didn't like to grow cotton. We growed some cotton after I married, We growed some cotton, but I didn't like it. I didn't like to work in tobacco either, just to tell you the truth.
What got me about dark tobacco was that you couldn't finish a crop in a year.
No, that's right.
See, you started out in January, and we caught a warm day and burnt a plant bed.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I remember my
then
daddy.
you didn't sell the stuff from the previous year till about February.
That's right. But we was always proud to get hold of what little money we could,
Oh, of course. What
Wasn't
would-
much then.
What would we have done without it? And of course, my first job dropping plants wasn't so bad. But when you start setting,
Yeah, I didn't like that.
my back hurts now just thinking about it.
Mine would too if I was thinking about it very long.
And your hand blistered on the peg.
That's right.
Then you had to hold the stuff.
And
And
that's what I did a lot of, in
then you
my
had
life.
to worm it,
And of course I helped sucker it too.
then sucker it, then cut it,
Then strip it.
fire it, then strip it. Oh, it was everything
Yeah.
was bad about it.
And didn't get much money either, but didn't
How
take
many
it.
people were in your father and mother's family? Were you the only
Well,
child?
no. Well, I started in the first. See, my mother and daddy were married before they married each other.
Mm-hmm.
They had, he married Molly Brewer, I believe is what, and so Katie, and he had 3 children by her. It was Jean, Herbert, and Katie. Katie Edwards was. You knew her, I guess. Jeannie's wife. And then my mother had Isla, Dr. Hames's wife, and Solon Hiett before she married my daddy. So when they married, they had Effie, she is 17-year-old, she died. Then they had Albert, they called Hop Hiett, and then me. I was the youngest child.
So you were the baby.
Yeah, I was the baby. But I didn't get the petting. Albert, I call him Albert, he's the one that got the petting. He took more petting than I did.
Yeah, well, they usually accuse the baby of
Yeah,
being...
well, it wasn't me. I didn't think,
Okay. All right, so you changed neighborhoods and
Yes.
and you changed schools and
Well, now I could tell, I think I can tell my teachers up there. I wrote it down here.
all right, that'd be
Garfield,
fine.
Mr. Garfield Cope. And,
I've heard that name.
well, where is that? I wrote that down.
In fact, I believe, well, I know he was a little bit of relation to my mother.
Well, Garfield Cope and Mr. Garfield Cope and Naaman Dukes and Clint Smith, or Clint White, and Fred Harper. And I can't remember the rest of them. I went to more, but I remember that many.
That's fine. Tell us something about school then. What was it like? Did you tell us, let's say, a typical day?
Well, I don't know.
You started out from home, you had to walk.
Well, I did when I lived down on Oak Level Road. I had farther to go. I had about a mile. But when we moved up here, it was just up the hill there.
That'll tell this generation, though, that no school bus called and picked you up.
Oh, no buses.
And,
we walked to school, cold or hot.
Okay, and when you got there, I guess you had a big fancy lunchroom.
No.
Oh, well, what'd you do for dinner?
Well, we carried our lunches in baskets, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they had, of course, they had some shelves for us to put the lunch on, you know.
Mm-hmm. So all of you, I guess in the summer, you'd go out under a shade tree.
Oh, yeah, we go out and eat in the summertime.
And what kind of water system did you have?
Well, they had a cooler that the kids would go down to the well and get the water and bring it up there and put it in it. There wasn't no ice in it, though.
And it wasn't running water.
No, it's out the well, and they brought it up the hill there at Walnut Grove, you know.
So when you read that story about Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of water, you knew what they're talking about.
Oh, yes, that's what we did there.
Yeah. All right, now, all the grades were in one room.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Then, but later they did build, add another room, and but I think that happened maybe after I quit going to school. I'm not sure of that. I don't believe they had but one room all the time I was going.
How did the teacher manage to teach 8 grades?
I don't know. I can't say.
Well, they did call you up to the front to recite.
Oh, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
You had a bench up there and a blackboard on one side of the room. And
yes.
Sometimes, I remember my school had a sort of an elevated place.
They did.
Little, like a small stage.
Yeah, we had that.
And the floors, I guess they were Wilton carpets.
Oh, no, just a wooden floor.
Did they oil those floors?
I don't think so. If they did, I don't know it.
I know when I was going, they'd always, in the summer,
now they might have.
They'd put linseed oil on that.
They might have. I can't say.
And that kept down the dust.
Well,
of course,
I guess that would.
When we went barefoot, as many of us did in the summertime.
Well, I did.
Why, that made your feet awful black when you got home. And I didn't much like to wash my feet, but my mother always made me.
Yeah, we had to do that before we'd go to bed anyway.
Yeah. All right. What subject did you like best?
Well, I guess I liked geography and arithmetic. Maybe arithmetic about the best.
You were scientifically minded then, mathematically minded.
Yeah.
Well, what about recreation? What did you do? You had a recess period?
Oh, yes. Well, we played ball, different types of ball, you know, and ain't you over, they call it, throw the ball over the house, and just different things like that.
And
hopscotch, and just, I can't remember
skip
everything.
the rope.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever play crack the whip?
Yeah, we played that too.
And wolf over the river?
Yeah, wolf over the river.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we played all those things.
Oh, that's great. That brings back a lot of memories to me. We were still doing exactly the same thing when I went to school.
Yeah, I guess so.
And as a matter of fact, my wife went to the University of Oak Valley. Did you ever hear of that?
No, I knew where Oak Valley was, but...
There was a one-room school.
Well, yeah. So. Well, that's the way it was there.
All right. Now, did you ever have any things for the parents to come in, say like maybe a pie supper on Friday night or something?
Yes, they had such as that. And...
did you ever bake a pie and have it
Oh,
served?
yes, and... they had things like that, you know, like, well, I don't reckon they do that now in school, but they did when I was going, you know.
What about spelling bees?
Well, they used to have them, but I never was too good at that. I don't guess I ever won on that.
But in a cipher match, you would have been a whiz.
Well, I don't know about that either. Well, I tell you, another teacher I went to, he taught what we call a winter school. I went to Uncle Tom Brown, and he helped me. That's what we studied.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped me more than anybody on that.
I remember
when you left a problem, you knew how to do it. He didn't let you leave it till you did.
I knew a man who was better than any computer that
Yeah.
I've ever seen. He could add the numbers on boxcars going by.
Well,
his name is Van Ratliff.
Well, I knew Van. Yeah, I knew Van. Nice man.
Yeah, he and Hattie were great.
Yeah, they were.
And I just recalled that he was the best mathematician,
Yeah.
adding in his
We
head.
used to see him
so-
when we'd go to Calvert City to work down there. The home, he was there.
Yeah, after Hattie died, he was
Yeah.
was down there.
Yeah. We'd
Boy.
always go around and speak to him, say something to him.
Now, did you have a school sweetheart?
Well, I guess. I think all kids does that.
And they'd say, so-and-so struck on.
Oh,
so-and-so.
yeah, struck on. Yeah, that's what they used to call it.
Yeah. Well, you eventually married,
Yes. I was just about 19 when I got married.
and your husband's name?
Darnall. And he was 26 when we got married.
Mm-hmm.
We married in 1921.
The year I was born. That was a good year to start housekeeping, I
I
guess.
reckon. Well, we didn't get out right then. We lived with my daddy for a while, but we finally bought us a place and moved out.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did he make a living? Was he a farmer?
Yes,
Also?
farmer. Tobacco.
Did
Grow
you-
tobacco and corn and cotton, things like that. Later years, we growed strawberries, and burley tobacco.
You never did load up everything in the Model T and go to Detroit?
Oh, we didn't have a car. Then we didn't.
Yeah.
We finally got to where we could get one later,
Uh-huh.
in our older days.
So when you started out housekeeping, you didn't buy a range and refrigerator and dishwasher and
no,
freezer?
we bought a little old box stove.
It didn't even have a warming closet on it.
No.
Well, my mother's didn't either. But I was grown.
We did go to Detroit later, in our later years, after our children left home.
But speaking of children, how many children did you have?
2. And Eugene Beagle Darnall, they call him.
Mhm.
And then Novely Jones, she married Bub Jones.
Do they have any children?
Yes, Beagle has one, Eugene Jr., they call him. And Novely she has 4 children.
Uh-huh.
She has 3 girls and 1 boy. Luella Bussey, and she lives at Paris, Tennessee. And Larry Jones, he lives here in the county. And Levine Hopkins, she married Danny Hopkins. And Lynette Bell, she married Junior Bell. And Larry married Diane English the last time he was married.
So you get to see and enjoy your grandchildren.
Well, I get to be with them some, not as much as I'd like. If I could drive a car, I guess.
You wouldn't happen to have a great-grandchild, would you?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, occasionally people do, so I...
Oh, great. Yes. Larry, they've all got children.
Mhm.
Luella's got 1 boy, Tony Bussey. She's one that lives in Paris. And the others has got 2 apiece. And then Larry, this last wife he married, she had 2.
Mhm. Now, who was this fellow John Edwards?
That was my great-great-grandparents.
And
That
could
was
you
the
tell
mother.
us a little bit about that family?
Well, of course, I never saw them. And his name was John Edwards, and then his wife was Elizabeth Edwards. And
Now, he
then-
was born before Marshall was a county, I see. May
suppose
1810?
18 and 10. And this is their children, Nancy, Armisha, something like that. And
And she was born in
she
1831.
she married Grace. She married a Grace.
Mhm.
And this is Uncle Press Edwards, we always called him. And he's Bessie Castleman, he's Presley Marion Edwards.
So, and he too
No,
was
no,
born-
that's Bessie Castleman's daddy.
Mhm.
She was Edwards, and Martha Ann Edwards. That's my grandma, and she was married a bird. And Alfred Allen Edwards, that's Will Edwards' granddaddy. Joe and Will Edwards' granddaddy. And Andrew Jackson, that's Carter Trimmel's dad. And Elizabeth, no, that's Randy Elizabeth. That's Arn's grandmother, Randy Elizabeth Edwards. And Sylvester Edwards, that's Jack Edwards' daddy. And Polly Marilla Edwards, and she married a Castleman, I think. And she's Bird Reddin's grandmother. And John Howell Edwards, and that's Marie Darnall's granddaddy. So they were all brother and sisters, and that was their mother and daddy.
John
and
Howell Edwards.
That's Marie's, and Smokey Joe's and all of them's granddaddy.
Now, my great-grandfather was named Howell Edwards.
Yeah, I remember Uncle Hal Edwards. We always called him Uncle Hal.
Mhm.
Of course, I never was acquainted with him, but I knew him.
But they were related a little bit to
They might have been.
these Edwardses here.
They might have been. I don't know.
Were they kin to, say, Mont Edwards and
Now I don't know
Henry
if they,
Edwards?
I don't know if they was related to this bunch or not. I can't say. They probably were.
Well, I just want to get a few Edwardses on the record there.
Yeah. Well, that's,
Now let's go back and talk about your home life when you first started marriage. You said you didn't have anything much but a box stove and
no.
the bed.
We
to
had
sleep on.
an old table that was someone else's old table, and we used that. So we didn't have much to start out with. And Arn, he went and bought us a dresser, and we bought us a bedstead. So we didn't have much, but we was happy.
Do you remember what a bedstead cost?
Oh no, I can't remember.
It seems to me like I heard my mother once say that the first bed they bought cost $5.
Well, I just don't remember what ours cost. It's been so long, I forgot that.
Well, you had to have some number 2 kerosene lamps again.
Oh yes, we had those.
Did you have any sad irons?
What
Sure.
kind?
Well,
Oh yeah, iron,
to iron your clothes.
flat irons we
Yeah,
called them.
flat.
Yes, we had those. Had to heat them on, on the stove, or build a fire out in the yard, or set them down before the fireplace and heat them.
So your fireplace was your heating system.
Yeah, but I used to cook stove lots for that.
Now, what kind of entertainment did you have in your young married life? Did you,
Well,
you
we-
go to the neighbors and sit till bedtime?
Oh yes, we do that some, but we didn't do a whole lot of that because I don't know. Arn worked and we just didn't live right close, But when I did live up there before I married, where neighbors were close there.
When company came in, you couldn't go to the home freezer and pull out.
Oh,
something.
we didn't have it.
How did you entertain them? What'd you do?
I don't know. We just cook of morning and we'd have to take care of it. Some way or another, we never did get killed eating it. But we knew how to manage it to try to keep it from souring, and keep
Did
it.
you ever, let's say, fix lunch and then spread a tablecloth over that and leave it till supper and then eat? What was that?
Well, I always wrapped it up some way or another. There's flies then. You had to try to keep it away from the flies. Yes, we did that.
I can remember my mother doing that.
And when we'd
Very
have
carefully.
workings, well, they'd, tobacco cutting and all, where they had their dinners, someone would have to stand out with a limb, and knock the flies off the table, keep the flies away.
I've seen my great-grandmother Edwards do that. The men
And they
would
had a
all-
lot of birthday dinners then, back used to, you know, then they'd have birthday dinners, and of course we'd have to do that then too.
How did you preserve food then?
Well, it's like I said, we just had, if I had beans left over at night, I'd warm them up, and then the next morning I'd warm them again, green beans.
Did you
And
can?
they wouldn't sour.
Did you can a lot of food?
Oh, yes, we can some. Oh, yes, we can fruit. And beans, green beans. And of course, people made kraut and such as that.
Did you pick any blackberries?
Oh, yes, we canned a lot of blackberries and make blackberry jelly and jam.
Weren't you afraid of snakes?
Well, I wasn't as afraid of them then as I am now. I'd go blackberry picking.
Yeah. You know, a blackberry cobbler is sort of hard to beat.
Oh, they're
even
good.
In
They're
1986.
still good to me.
Yeah.
They're still good to me. And apple pies, they're good to me too.
Did you have a strawberry patch?
Well, later in years, we started growing strawberries. We
What
growed a
about,
lot of strawberries.
We used to sing a song at school about going to Aunt Dinah's quilting party. Did you ever have one of those?
Oh, yes, we'd have quilting sometime, but most of the time, my mother and I would just quilt, you know, together when I lived close to her.
Now, you said you didn't have a car till early days.
No, we didn't have any then.
What kind of, well, your bed, I guess you had a innerspring mattress when you first married.
No. No,
What in the world did you sleep on?
we had straw beds. We'd go to wheat pile and fill up straw beds, take domestic, you know, and sew them up and make a straw bed, and go into wheat pile and fill them up, and that was our straw bed. And we had springs, and of course that was our mattress. We had feather beds.
Oh, you had a feather bed?
Oh, yes, we had feather beds all the time
Now,
then.
of course, you used that, I guess,
Yes.
in the winter mostly.
Yes, we'd take them off in the summer. And if you had a lot of company in summertime, and had to make beds down, you spread the feather beds down on the floor and make beds that way.
They call that making a pallet.
Yeah. I know Dr. Hames and Isla, my sister, had come here from Texas, and that's before I married, and they would come to our house, and they'd stay about a month, you know, around with their families. And Tessie and Eldora came to our house one night, so we had all the beds filled, and so we took feather beds and made us some beds in the kitchen on the floor. Next morning we got up, and Eldora and Tessie helped cook breakfast.
More mouths to feed,
Yeah.
but more hands to work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
See, Tessie and me are the same age, born same year. I'm a little older than her, though. My birthday's earlier than hers.
Well, did you ever make any taffy candy or stuff like
Yeah, I didn't do too much of that. I used to make fudge and stuff like that.
Popcorn?
Yeah, popcorn, make popcorn balls.
I used to enjoy those things.
Yeah, I did too.
And when you had a wheat thrashing, I liked that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You get to play on a straw pile.
Well, we used to go, Tom Jones folks lived across the field from us after I married, and so we'd go to their house to wheat thrashings.
Well, do you have any big funny story you'd like to tell? We're going to have to get off here. in
No,
about a
I
minute,
don't.
So,
Can't think of anything. I'm afraid I wouldn't think of this much.
why, you're full of information.
I don't know.
And we appreciate it very much. And we thank you for allowing us
Well,
to come.
I thank you all for coming. Appreciate having you.
It's very good, and we're happy to have been today to Walnut Court in Benton to interview Reba Hiett Darnall. And she's told us a little bit about her early years, her parents, some of her ancestors, her husband, her children, and her grandchildren. And some of the ways that life is a little different now to what it was in the early years. I'm Ray Mofield, and this is your oral history microphone. We return you now to our studio.